Good evening, everyone. I'm Zhang Yue Cayla. Today it's my pleasure to show my proposal presentation to you, and my topic is wetland protection. Before we start, I would like to introduce my outline of the presentation first, in order to give you a better understanding of what I'm going to talk about. In the first part, I will have an introduction of my project topic, which is wetland protection. It will include background and issues of wetlands nowadays, and my chosen organization, and my aims, significance, and potential target audience of my project. In the second part, I will share with you the details of my research process, including the timeline and the constructed activities. In the final part, I will talk something a little bit more individual, which is the reason of why I want to investigate this topic and my appeal. So let's start. Let's first move into the introduction of my project topic. Firstly, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever seen wetland? I'm sure you have all seen the wetland. The picture shows the different types of wetlands in the world. They're both beautiful, right? Wetlands are places that are permanently or periodically flooded by water, such as lake, marsh, or others. Wetland is a fundamental part of our world. From the picture on the right side, we can see the wetlands is very important in maintaining ecology. For example, wetlands can clean the water, can withstand the floods, and can also be a habitat for animals. Look at these cute duckies. They were very happy with the water. So wetland is very important for our world. However, according to data, more than half of the world's wetlands have disappeared since 1900. What happened, and what is the cause of the wetland loss? I found a research paper from the internet, and the researchers from this paper said that during these 20 years, China has lost 2,883 kilometers of wetlands to urban expansion. The wetlands are either occupied by urban construction or dried up by pollution. From the infographic on the left side, we can see the occupation of the urban area in the different types of the wetlands. In the span of only 20 years, there are over 2,000 kilometers wetlands converted into the urban area, which is a very staggering numbers for me. So if we just let it go, what will happen? As we mentioned before, wetland is very important in maintaining ecology, right? So wetland loss will cause a lot of damages. For example, it will cause natural disasters like a flood. It will cause a reduction in biodiversity. In general, it will cause ecologically unsustainable. So humans' endless development of wetland will cause ecologically unsustainable. And this will in turn affect the development of cities. People will feel anxious about the low growth of the development, and they will continue to expand the land again. It is a vicious circle. So probably it's time for us to stop this circle and adopt some steps to protect the wetland. Here comes to my research question. How to better explore and study solutions of wetland protection? Luckily, I found an association, which name is Xiangtan Environmental Protection Association. It is a voluntary organization which aims to address and solve the environmental problems by ensuring the ecologically sustainable development in China. It has won the Best Volunteer Organization in China in 2016. I found that this association is competent to offer good materials for me to do a research, because since 2014, the organization has started to do research about the wetland protection. Here are some pictures of their work. The first picture shows that they were going to check the changes of the wetlands. It has been their weekly routine for many years. And the second picture shows one of the wetlands in China, and he was checking the quality of it. And the third picture shows that there are many volunteers have joined this association and have taken steps to help to protect the wetlands. So my aims of my project is to investigate the relevant researches and actions about the protecting wetlands of this organization to address the disappearing issue encountered in wetlands in China. Why do I want to do this project? Because I found it has significance in promoting the wetland protection in China or even the world. Because firstly, the association is renowned, and therefore the materials they give are convincing. After the connection with them, I can offer useful solutions to public to help other environmental protection organizations better address the problem of wetland loss. And in addition to offering the solutions, I found that my project can also draw public attention to wetland conservation and attract more volunteers and founders, which is good. Therefore, my potential target audience are divided into two groups. The first group is the other environmental protection organizations. I hope that my project can offer useful means of wetland protection as the references for them. And the second group is public, which is more general. I hope my projects can be an incentive for them to become volunteers or donors. After introducing my topic, now I'm glad to show you my details of the research process. So here we go. The first thing I want to show is my timeline. The time here is only ideal, and the exact time will depend on the interviewee's schedule, so the time has not been decided yet. It is only ideal. I have decided 3 activities, which are interview with the president of the organization on October 24th, interview with the volunteers of organization on November 7th, and the observation of the organization's office in the field on November 14th. After these 3 activities, I will stay at home and carefully finish my final presentation. So these are my timeline, and let's talk about more detailed things of the constructed activities. So the first activities is an interview with the president of the organization. My aim is to get an understanding of the situation of wetland laws nowadays and the relevant actions about the wetland protection of the organization. The time is about 1 hour, and the resources are Tencent meeting on computer. I will have an online meeting with him, and some interview questions, and also 100 yuan. The constraints of this interview probably are, firstly, the president may have no time for interview. Since he's the president of the organization, he maybe has fatigue after a busy day of working and have no time and energy for the video meeting with me. And the second constraint is that he may not know much about the details of relevant actions. As we know, activities are always done by workers, not the leaders. So I think the presidents may not know much about the details of their actions. The solutions probably are modifying the interview time according to the president's schedule and finding different types of people to interview. And my ideal book date is on October 24th. These are the questions that I would likely to ask him during the interview. For example, like, can you give us an overview of the current wetland situation in China? Or what actions has your organization done for wetland protection? How effective? It is more general questions. The second activities I designed will well make up for the first one. I will have an interview with the volunteers of the organization. My aim is to know more action details about the wetland protection of volunteers. The time is about 1 hour too. The resources are Tencent meeting on computer and some interview questions. And the constraints for the volunteer interview, I think, is probably that no one would like to be interviewed because of shyness or other reasons. We know that volunteers are not the same as the president. They are not the public figures, and they may be worried about their privacy being exposed. So they may refuse my invitation. In this situation, I will ask the president for help. I will ask the president help me find a volunteer because volunteer will more likely to trust the president and usually say yes. So I think I can handle this problem. And the ideal book date is on November 7th. For the volunteers, I might be more inclined to ask about their experience and their feelings. For example, what actions have you done for wetland protection? How is your feeling? Or what made you volunteer to protect the wetlands? Observations, the work of the organization's office in the field, is my last design activity. My aim is to understand the actual work done and maybe participate in some activities to enhance my understanding of wetland protection. The time is about 1 day. The resources are that I have to travel to meet officer and bring a camera for recording and some interview questions. And these interview questions will be based on the activities that day. So I have not been decided yet. And the constraint of the last activity is probably that the availability of the officer, because I'm still a student, so and not be on behalf of any formal company. So I'm afraid they will mistrust me and don't let me in. In this situation, I will connect with the president first and ask him to inform the company's employees in advance. And maybe they will give me the permission after being informed. And the book date is on the November 14th. And those are the details of my constructed activities. I hope that everything can be conducted successfully. And now comes to my last part of the presentation today, which is the reason of my interest in this topic and my appeal. Personal experience is one of the most important reasons for me to focus on the topic of wetland protection, because I have encountered a severe flood before in Shaoguan, which is in the north, in the Guangdong province. At that time, I was just 6 years old, and I had to stay at home for about a whole week with no electricity, no water, even no food. So I had a deep impression on that disaster. Later, I learned that the causation of that flood were the heavy rain and the insufficient flood storage capacity, which means the less wetlands to withstand the flood. And at that time, I've learned that the wetlands in China were not enough. Then back to the research I have learned recently. The researchers discloses that urbanization and industrialization continue to unfold in China for the next few decades, and the rapid expansion is expected to encroach on more wetlands. What do this mean? It means that the situation of wetlands in China is not getting better, it's getting worse. And besides, people still have no clear awareness to protect the vulnerable wetlands in China. So I think I should determine the topic of wetland protection without hesitation. The association needs our help because wetland conservation cannot be accomplished by a single organization. It is a common responsibility of people from all over the world. The organization needs our support, so I hope that my project can not only offering the useful ways protecting the wetlands, but also raise the public awareness of this organization and its work. And then, so maybe they will become and volunteers to give a help, or at least they can make a donation in it. And therefore, we can prevent the invasion of wetlands in China together. So this is what I'm going to talk about today. And thank you for watching. Here are my references. Bye.